Hey cuties, it's your girl Vanessa. Today I want to talk about using your brain and not losing your critical thinking skills. So if you're interested, keep watching. So this is going to be quick. I mostly just want to give some tips on how to keep your brain active, using your brain, just making sure that your brain is working to its full capacity outside of, just the brain rot that we see every day on social media. So one of the things that we could do is, and you could still use your phone, but it's like doing stuff like the Wordle, Sudoku, I don't know, just like random games. I know sometimes those can get addicting, but you could use your critical thinking skills with those. In terms of like doing the Wordle, you could work on your vocabulary. You use context clues. So when you're guessing in Wordle and you get, 3 letters, but you need 5, you're reaching back to the part of your brain that knows the vocab and knows, these words, and you're trying to put context clues together and figure out what other letters you're missing. You're using your brain. Same thing with Sudoku. You're trying to figure out what numbers go in there. So you're using your brain. Same thing, like if you're playing Monopoly, you really gotta figure out what your next move might be. Same thing with Connect 4. So I highly suggest, instead of being on your phone, maybe you and your partner, you and a friend or a sibling can play Monopoly or Connect 4 or Uno, just using your brain and using those context clues to put stuff together, really using your critical thinking skills. Same thing with stuff like Clue, figuring out who the murderer is. You really got to put 2 and 2 together using all these clues. You're using your brain for that stuff. Same thing with just playing regular cards, playing chess, playing checkers, reading a book. Reading is so important. I feel a lot of people don't read anymore. A lot of people still do, but I definitely think it's really important to read. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to read a huge George R.R. Martin book. It's all about just the fact that you're reading. It could be a self-help book. It could be anything. It's just you putting those words into your mind and you're building this imaginary world. When you really get into a book, you could really start to imagine what the main character looks like, what their love interest looks like, what the enemy looks like. You're putting this world together just by looking at words on a page. You're using your brain. You're using critical thinking skills. I would say also watching documentaries and movies does help too. I would try to steer away from just being on your phone too much and being on social media, because you want to be able to figure out oh, is this image AI? We shouldn't be getting oh my God, I got fooled by AI. You shouldn't be believing certain pictures. We really need to use our brains. This is when we really need to use our brains, because the government is trying to make us stupid and have us not be able to tell the difference between a real picture and an AI picture. And they're using people's likeness and then putting them in videos. This is the time now more than ever that we need to be using our brains. That can also include stuff like knitting, crocheting, sewing, stuff like cooking, looking up a recipe, not ChatGPTing or AI. Don't let me, that's a whole nother topic. Let me not get into that. But putting together a recipe. Let's say you're in the middle of cooking something and then you're fuck, I forgot, I don't have butter, or I don't have this. How can you use this to your advantage? How can you find a substitution? Where can you look for it? Maybe you could search online, or maybe you can call a friend or a parent, hey, I don't have butter, do you know a substitution? Hey, I don't have cinnamon, do you have a substitution? There's substitutions for everything. You just need to be able to look. You need to be able to use your brain and use those context clues. Don't rely so much on the internet. You can make these choices yourself. When you go to Google something, I know the AI overview is the first thing that pops up. It doesn't take that long to just scroll a little bit lower and find the answer yourself. We really need to be able to use our brains. That's all we have left right now. The government is trying to make us dumb. They're trying to get us to just buy every single thing and make us feel like we need everything right now. That this influencer that they paid to get us to like a certain thing, like a lip liner, another hair product. Like, make those decisions for your else. Don't forget to be yourself. Really use your brain and figure out, do I actually need this? I feel like this has been a topic about a whole bunch of other things, capitalism, AI, whatever. But the most important thing is that we do need to focus on what's important, and that's our brain activity and keeping our brains smart and active and really using those critical thinking skills, because those skills are really gonna be put to good use when you're out in public and when you need to solve a problem and you're just sharp. So let's just keep doing that. And my husband's here because I'm going to the gym. Bye, kitties.